today on Heart Connection. So I thank you guys so much for joining in again. And I want to encourage you to operate in your gift. If your gift is of administration, be the best administrator. If your gift is in inspiration, inspire with all you have. If your gift is in creating, never stop creating. We're all creators. You know why? Because we were made in the image of a creator. So we all have things that we need to be creating in our lives, in our personal lives. And that's what we're talking about in this segment. As we talk about overcoming setbacks, heartbreaks, breakups, divorces, foreclosures, repossessions, takebacks, abandonment, violation of all different types. We're overcoming those things. So we talked about acknowledging. That's the first thing you need to do. Acknowledge the pain, the hurt, the shame that you felt. So now we're talking about, the second thing we talked about was confronting, and that was in the 11 o'clock hour. So now we're in the 12 o'clock hour, and we're talking about strategizing. Yes, we're talking about strategizing. Yes, you can pray, and yes, you can fast, and you can do all of that, but you need to have a reason for doing those things. You need to have a reason for doing it. You're not just throwing stuff out at the wind. Okay, a strategy is defined as a plan of action or policy designed to achieve a major or overall aim. The art of planning and directing overall military operations and movements in a war or battle. Okay, it's talking about from a military standpoint, but if you want to be honest, we're in this battle with good and evil. So the military standpoint really does make sense when we talk about some of the things that we're dealing with. So we need to strategize. And one of the first things that we have to do in this strategizing position of overcoming our setbacks is we have to be willing to surrender. You see how the beat just dropped down just now when I said surrender? That's how I want you to look at how your life is going to look when you start to overcome things. The things that you thought you had to fight for, you're going to have to let it go. You thought it was right. You thought that this was the best way and the only way. It was a good way, but it's never the only way. It's never the only way. So whatever it is that you're dealing with, you've acknowledged it, you confronted it. Now what? Now let's surrender how we think it's supposed to be, how we think it's supposed to look, how we think it's supposed to manifest. Let's surrender what we think to God's will for our life. And that's where the strategy comes in. We need that plan of action. And I say surrender because a surrender is defined as a cease of resistance. So when you cease resisting, stop resisting. I know you had to protect yourself because you were being overtaken. You were being violated. You were dealing with a lot of problems and issues. And he did cheat on you. And he did turn his back on you. And they did lie about you. And they talked about you. And yes, you were violated and all of those things. So now what do? You've confronted those things. You say you want more out of your life. Now you have to plan. But this does not go the way you may think it's going to go. You don't just come up with your own plan. You have to surrender to God's plan. And in that surrender brings about submission. So you're going to cease to resist that surrender. And as you're ceasing to resist, your heart can start to settle down now and start to be softened and it can be nourished. And now you can yield to what God wants for you. And that's submission. That's submission. And so we have to submit to the strategy that God has for our lives. And we have to focus on not just the pain that we experience, but let's focus on the good times. And I'm excited because after this particular Heart Talk segment, I have a little treat for you guys, a little oldie but goodie. I actually have a couple of them for you, but today we're going to talk a little bit about focusing on the good times when we talk about strategizing. Because when we come up with a plan, a lot of times we say, I don't know. I don't know how it feels to be happy. I've been in this all my life. I don't know. But even before the heartache was heartache, or before the pain, was there something good in it? Hold fast to that good thing. Hold fast to